In an alternate universe, disaster strikes near 1950s Earth. Radioactive space debris streaks towards the planet, wreaking havoc on an unsuspecting and unprepared populace. Nuclear warheads were triggered. Through fallout preparedness, there were some who survived, though the effects were devastating. Gross. Look at that kid. It's gross. The survivor's skin gradually peeled away, revealing the mutated reality of their future. But hey, at least they had a future, right? Happy ending! Kinda. Hey everybody, I hope you enjoyed that intro. If you enjoy this look, please follow along and let's get going. So I started out priming my face with the Urban Decay Vitamin Infused Complexion Prep Spray B6, and I am starting with the white Mayron as always in order to outline my face and all of the stuff. And here's the reason I use white, because when I mess up, I can just wipey, 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 and it's gone. I'm just referencing a picture of a dress I found, so if you're ever having trouble drawing clothes or don't know how to lay them, just use a reference picture and try to get it as close as possible. That's the best way to practice, and eventually you'll be able to do wrinkles and stuff without even looking at anything. Channel your inner Annette Funicello for a second. Now I'm just using a glue stick to get my brows out of the way by going the opposite direction first and then pushing up and just spreading them out a little unevenly so that there's not a big buildup of hair anymore. So these eyes didn't go exactly as I had planned, so I ended up painting a lot of red where the white is now that I'm painting, so just keep that in mind for the finished product. Now you gotta get some of those chompers in there. Cause how you gonna chomp things without any chompers? This is the apocalypse we're talking about. It's time to chomp. If any time is time to chomp, it's now. Sorry, I started saying chomp and then my brain took it as a challenge of how many times I could say chomp in one sentence. Now using the yellow from the Cirque du Soleil palette from FX Cosplay, the Fab Paints. So this look is a lot about color overlaying, so I started with the lighter colors, put darker ones over it, and then put lighter ones back over the darker ones. So you can do it any way you want, that's just the way I ended up doing it here. Moving on to the green from the same palette, the Cirque de Chanel. And going in with the Mayron Aqua Color Paradise Red. Now I should note that Mayron does not recommend putting red around your eye area. I presume it's because it stains easier and that skin is more soft and easily stained. Personally, I've never had a problem getting it off, so if you are into precautionary things like that, definitely do your research first and check that out. Now I'm going in with the black Mayron and putting in all those details, and I'll start adding shadows and all that good fun stuff. Now I'm using the Naked 2 mini palette from Urban Decay and using the primal color to go in and add wrinkles and shadows in a darker brown color. Then I'm adding little veins on the eyes with the red Mayron. I am trying to get it where I don't jump around as much for you guys, but do forgive me for going from this color to this color to this color a lot. Now I'm adding some darker eyeshadow shadows with the Undone from the same palette, the Naked 2. Adding some contrast to the eyes with white. Now for this kind of delicate blending, what I do is use a fairly dry brush, just put the tiniest amount of water on it and just enough to move the paint around without actually smearing it or causing it to blend into the other paint too much, if that makes sense. It's kind of a dry blend. Then I'll add little layers of yellow and white throughout on these little edges just to make sure that they pop and add some contrast and depth. used a Mars Attack picture for this reference, kind of a little ode to that as well, since I really enjoy those old retro alien comic books, and the movie was awesome as well. Much of my time painting consists of going over and doing the same thing I did before. Lots of these paints look much better if you take the time to let them dry and do layers and make sure that everything's nice and saturated and looks exactly the way you want it to. If you take the time, it shows. This was one of those times where the pupils just kept getting bigger because I kept wanting them to be perfectly even and they weren't. So just add a little bit more. Just a little bit more. Yeah, just a little bit more. Good job. And then my favorite Bucky from the Naked palette from Urban Decay. It's actually just called Buck, but I like to make up names for it. Bucky, the Buckster, Buck Boy. And I use it to put all those shadow wrinkles in there and just get the design where I want it to be. And as always, I'm adding white to the parts that would be raised up just to make it look actually wrinkled. Now some people prefer to keep their wrinkles just the brown and the subtle wrinkle. I like my art more cartoony, as you may have noticed. So I usually always go and put in those blacks as well and just make it extra super depthy. Depthy, that's a word. It is now. And I'm just keeping the dress simple and filling it in black where the white polka dots are not. And as always, I'm using my negative space to my advantage to make things look more realistic. So I'm going through and putting all that into place now. Go ahead and outline all your pearls with just simple black, and then you can add black underneath and do that dry blending technique to add some shadow underneath the pearls where they would sit on your neck. And then I went ahead and went through with a light gray and did a half C on the front of all the pearls just to give them that reflective image. And just take the time to go through and put all the shading where it should be. It really helps to make things pop. Since this makeup was such an illustrative type, I went ahead and left the heavy highlights on the front of the boobs and on the top of the shoulders just to really give it that reflective, illustrative look. Just using black to outline all the teeth individually. Now I grabbed my wig and I used this little tiny top hat to kind of be my anchor for my makeup. Then finished up just putting a couple shadows and highlights on the teeth. And there you have it, survivor of a 1950 space disaster with Dr. Pepper. Thanks so much for stopping by. I really appreciate it. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more, please subscribe and like. It would do me a lot of favors. And also, if you want to follow me on Instagram and Facebook, my tag is Mygalthezombiefx at both of those sites. You can also check out my horror host program at Mygalthezombie on YouTube or at mygalthezombie.com. Ah, Marcy, you crazy.